Welcome to the SERMAPod, a place where you can find the most up-to-date topics and news headings for sports and entertainment specific to this risk management world. SERMA is a sports and entertainment risk management alliance that was founded several years ago by Rich Lankoff. And here we are getting close to our 100th SERMAPod. This is exciting. Today we are joined by Professor John Wilhan, and John is an attorney and a professor of sports law in the David B. Falk College of Sports and Human Dynamic at Syracuse University. Maybe starting his 15th year, but we're going to try not to date him today. Did I get that all right, John? That's a mouthful.
It's a lot. Yeah,
It's an exciting role to fill, and I'm certain probably one that is not shy of entertainment, so to speak.
correct. And I guess to add to the title, I actually teach down at the law school as well. So not only in the folk school, but also in the law school.
So you are a perfect participant for today's very energetic topic
I hope
of
so.
the Phillies Karen. Just to full disclosure, I'm a big Phillies fan, born and raised in Philadelphia. So this is extra exciting for me to be able to join this podcast with you today. But we just keep finding ourselves in the midst of drama here in Philly. And this one is no short of uh, kind of a what just happened moment of, fandom, all the things that could happen here. What's interesting, I think, for you and I is that we're fans of the sport, but at the same time, we're for professionals in the industry. So I think when you look at this, you look at it from a fan perspective, because then you're quickly go to your training, right? And your perspective just totally shifts into all the checklist of things that are going to happen in the aftermath of a situation or event such as this. So I have to start off by asking you, what was your first reaction, fan and professional, to what happened in Miami with the Phillies fans?
Yeah. Once again, it was kind of shocking. Um, you know, I've never really seen a fan react that way. I mean, it's a baseball. And while yes, it was hit at her and if she caught it, it would have been fine. But it she didn't, and it was on the ground and somebody picked it up and gave it to their son. And so for somebody to kind of come up and demand the ball like that, it was a little surprising. Yeah.
I, I would say the same thing. And I think as a fan, you look at it, we've come to this term of age where give it to the kid. It's a great moment for them. It's a great moment for everybody. But I think times have changed a little bit in what's happening. Insert sports memorabilia, which we'll get to. The intensity of these situations has changed. So let's
Yeah,
go back to. Oh, go
but
ahead.
I was going
Sorry.
to say, I mean, as far as the memorabilia, it's not like it was a historic ball or anything like that. It was just an average home run.
Right, in a visiting city.
Yeah.
So yeah, add some more drama to it. Let's get back to the first thing you said. If she had caught the ball, I think this is an internet sensation. This has engulfed Philadelphia to the 10th degree here. But there's speculation. People are watching the video, zooming in on the video. Everyone's an analyst right now, but it appears as though she never caught the ball, even if her hand was on it for a second. But how does that change a situation like this if she does catch the ball or she doesn't? If she does she have property rights to that ball?
And the answer is yes. I mean, um, Major League Baseball kind of, when a ball goes into the stands, the theory here is that they've abandoned their property. And the person who picks it up or catches it, owns that property. So if she caught it, it would have been her property, and she would have rightfully had it. In this particular case, she didn't catch it. The ball was on the ground, and the father came by and picked it up. Therefore, under property law, it was his, and so rightfully it was his.
Can either one of them take legal action with that when the property rights are shifted from the MLB to the fans?
I mean, where it gets kind of, as far as property rights go, it gets a little No, I mean, I was going to say it gets kind of fuzzy, but it doesn't at all. Whoever has that catches that ball, whoever picks it up off the ground, they own that property. And so whether it's, a historic home run that somebody picks up, it's not the players, it's not the teams, it's that individual. And he can sell it back to the player, he can sell it back to the team, but it's his property. He can keep it. Yeah. And typically what happens if, especially if it's a historic home run, somebody from the team will come by, you know, let's go negotiate. What can we give you for this ball? What are you looking for? But it really is his or her property. And in this case, it's the property of the dad when he picks it up off the ground.
Yeah, there was a recent issue, was it at the US Open where somebody jumped in front of a child as well to grab an autographed hat that was intended for the child, which I think is a little bit more sensitive and maybe more directive in property rights. This one seems extreme because it was a foul ball that is completely fair game to any fan in the rightful area, right?
Yeah. I mean, and the trouble, especially with signatures, I mean, the players want to be, um, available to the fans, but they particularly want to be available to younger fans. They want to, create a next generation of fans, and so they're willing to give their time to, you know, young children. They're less willing to give their time to you and me, because we're established fans. They're really working on the younger generation, and the problem with people like us, not that we do this, but the problem with people like us at our age is that some of us are just really there for the signature to go sell it on, on the open market. And the players don't want that. They want, to create that souvenir for the young child.
But I think it has to be an element of protection for them. They know if they're giving a child an autograph, it's probably not going, to your point, on the internet for sale. And they know they've also made a historic moment in that child's life. It's about the experience. That's what I was touching on when I said about the sports memorabilia. It's become more and more of a almost an industry where, people are hired to go to these games specifically to get a certain amount of autographs, to get certain things autographed for resell. So I'd imagine the intensity of grabbing that foul ball, you don't know who you're up against almost. Like it's
Right.
mayhem in the stands now because insert this new memorabilia track and industry.
Well, one of the members of our advisory board in the Fall College of Sport is a man named Brandon Steiner. And Steiner Sports, that's what they do. They do memorabilia. He's famous for buying the old Yankee Stadium and selling bricks and dirt and things like that. Um, so everything is for sale and everything is valuable to some fan.
Yeah, it's I think the fan code of conduct may need a little bit of an overhaul as well, just given what can happen in the stands. But that brings us to the another point too is at what point does this become a fan code of conduct? Because in the video that went viral of Philly's Karen, it looks as though she put her hands on another fan. Does that become a
Mm.
liability now of the team? Is that perhaps change her reputation as a fan and her possible admittance into other stadiums? How does that put her now as a fan?
Yeah, I'm a little uncomfortable talking about her too much. I mean, but as far as the stadium goes, they do have a right to protect individual fans. If you go to, you're paying to come to a game, the expectation is that the environment itself is going to be safe to watch the game. And, if you and I went to a game and a drunk fan came and harassed us, they would escort that person out pretty quickly. So the idea that somebody like this particular fan is coming and actually touching me and harassing me, you could see that the security probably should have escorted her out of the stadium as well. I mean, she definitely crossed a line.
Is this something that you've seen become more of a topic in stadiums at events where the fan aggression is increased over time?
know if it's increased. I mean, it's, what's really amazing about this is that once again, it was an average home run. It wasn't anything special. Um, and so her reaction makes it all that much more interesting. Um, but I mean, fans have always wanted, souvenirs from if the ball goes into the stands, there's always going to be a group of people running for it and trying to get it. Um, and so I don't know if it's any more aggressive, because of I mean, and once again, since it's not a special ball, the value of it isn't that great.
Yeah, I don't think we saw the same thing even as one of our players hit a historic home run. Don't think we saw the same reaction there. So it was quite shocking to see how it unfolded, and then more so how it unfolded in the media and how it unfolded on social media. Um,
Yeah. And
taking
once again, I kind of feel bad for her. I mean, I know that her conduct was kind of over the top, but the way she's been, I guess, crucified in the media, um, yeah. I mean, I think the team itself, the Phillies did right by the fan. They brought him in the back. They gave him the bat and other kind of memorabilia of the game. So, you know, while the behavior was inappropriate, maybe a little over the top, I do feel that the media has kind of crucified her too much.
Yeah, and one could argue too, it's the passion of all fans and wanting to be a
Yeah,
part of the game. And, rightfully so, no different than the kid wanting to experience a moment. Every fan wants to have that excitement in that moment. So, because there was so much media attention on this, and I would say probably more than we've seen other incidents, how does this potentially change just how stadiums conduct fans, or does this change the experience for fans in the future? Or it's just a moment in time and, everyone will move on when it settles
I
the dust settles.
I mean, I think it does probably have some impact on the fan, in the stands, because now everything is filmed, and you're going to be worried, right? How aggressive do you want to go for that ball? Are you going to should be put up on social media if you kind of pull it away from a little kid or pull it away from, grandma? And once again, you got to be careful, the way society is going with social media and the internet. Everything we do seems to be, available to put online. Um, and so I think, I guess fans should be conscious, but that being said, as a fan, we don't think rationally. Ball comes into the area, we're all going for it and we all want it. So, yeah,
Yeah, and I mean, it only can get more heightened as we go into playoffs here. So, yeah, some additional intensity. Well, thanks for entertaining some of my additional fan questions. And, it seems like the property liability of this is pretty straightforward with the fans touching it or not touching it. It's fair game. But um, how does the facility now become liable in a situation like this?
yeah. And once again, the facility has a duty to protect fans from aggressive fans. As I'd mentioned earlier, if you and I were at a game and there was a drunk fan harassing us, it would be the duty of the facility to kind of remove that person. And so they have a duty to provide a safe environment for us to watch the game. Um, if they believe or if they have, um, I guess, if it's foreseeable that fans are going to start, um, you know, abusing each other over a home run ball, then they would probably have to do something more. And I'm not sure what that would be. How would they police it? Would they be going into the stands, that have security with extra balls, kind of walking into the stands, giving them out to people who didn't get it? Um, is that what the requirement to kind of appease those people? Or is it if they see somebody being abusive, you know, do they have to remove that person? And once again, when we get into our fandom like this, um, it's hard because we're fanatics about it, right? Um, you love the Phillies, and um, yeah, I'm a Yankees fan, by the way. But
Um, yeah, it took us a little while to get there, but we're all right.
all
We might
right,
have to talk after this, John.
all right. Especially, I grew up in Massachusetts. I'm a Yankee fan from Massachusetts. Makes it even worse.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, and we typically see security or some employee come down to fans that a foul ball hit or debris. If we're talking specifically about baseball, a bat that goes flying, but typically for safety of injury, not safety of potential fan to fan interaction. So perhaps maybe we see the staff more on high alert to immediately go down, even if everybody appears to be okay, just to try to diffuse any potential fan on fan aggression types of
Yeah.
situations.
I mean, but one of the interesting things about baseball, unlike, let's say football, um, football, we have tailgating, so there's probably more aggression, more drinking involved. Whereas in baseball, we don't expect the same behavior. And so I guess the question is, what would be a reasonable amount of security for a facility? Is it going to be required to have more people in, more security kind of placing the stands for these types of situations? Or do they have to react quicker when a home run, goes into the stands? All of those things are going to kind of come into play. Um, Fortunately, I don't think there's, even in our Philly case, um, the woman was offered $5,000 for the ball, um, so she could have actually profited off of it. She did have to kind of sign the ball and say she was sorry, kind of once again humiliating her more. But
Right.
um, I don't know.
Yeah, it just begs the question too of what how that fan then reacts to the facility, the organization, either fan in this situation. Did they feel like they were protected, furthering the liability of the stadium? Did they feel like they were kind of put out there to dry as well? I think the next steps of this or what happens in the next situation will be of just as much interest to see how the stadiums and the teams reacted to this one. Have you seen situations like this in the past to this level, or this one was just a special moment because social media happened to catch it?
I think it was special because of social media. Um, I mean, there have been, fights over balls. There have been lawsuits over balls, coming into the stands and who owned it. So that, there have been disputes, um, but I guess not to this extreme, especially with social media, where it was captured and then put on, ESPN and every other outlet. Um, and so, what does the facility have? I mean, and once again, I think the team in the facility did right by the fan who gave up the ball. I mean, good for him. Um, he didn't have to, but he did. Um, and you know, that made the woman go away. Um, as for her, I mean, there's nothing that the stadium or the facility could do as far as protecting her from social media. I mean, it was on TV. Yeah. So
Within seconds. I mean, I felt like we weren't even in the next inning and it was already all over the internet,
yeah,
which in that case, does a person have the rights to reputational damage to pursue any sort of um, advancement there, or is that your responsibility in a social setting to act accordingly and appropriately, running the risk that we live in a media-soaked world? You could end
yeah.
up on the internet.
I mean, we do have media rights or what we call image rights and rights of privacy. But by going to a public facility like this, um, knowing that there are TV cameras, the games on television, the home runs in the stand, so there's a television camera. They throughout the game, they'll probably show people in the stands, so you know that this is happening. And so her image rights, her right of privacy is greatly reduced. And it's not like the team did anything. It's just kind of, she was out in the public, she did something, people saw that. photographed it, and published it.
Is there any fine print on the tickets that warns us as a fan to, you waive your rights of anything entering the stadium and
Well,
appropriate behavior?
you get a ticket.
Anything in the fine print down digitally transferred through.
There's no tickets anymore, right?
Right, right.
And while they do have, they try to put warranties, or not warranties, but waivers on certain tickets. It, they're, especially today with online, um, doesn't really work. Yeah. And whatever, however she got her ticket, um, yeah, it's, she's not protected.
So this is a lesson in appropriate behavior as a
There
passionate
we go.
fan, and be mindful that you are subject to being on the internet and television.
Yeah. I think, once again, I think that's probably the lesson that people should take away from this is that just because you're in the ballpark, you're still subject to, you know, um, behaving appropriately. And you are going to be filmed. You are going to um, end up on the internet. And so be conscious, be aware,
If you were
be
to turn
polite.
this, yeah, be kind, right? If you were to turn this into a lesson for any of your students, what would be the main focus of this situation from a legal standpoint or non-legal?
Yeah. I mean, I think a couple of things. One is, um, as far as property rights go, the person who got the ball off the ground, that's his ball. He owned that. He didn't have to give it up. He did. Um, and and I think it was kind of to diffuse a situation that he didn't expect or didn't want. And so good on him. I mean, yeah. I mean, you're taking the ball away from the child, but um, I think you know even if he didn't get um, other things from the Phillies, I think it would have been the right thing just to kind of make her go away. Um, so property right, the owner of the ball is the person who gets the ball, not the person. If it came, if she grabbed it, touched it, and it fell, that doesn't mean it's hers just because she was the first one to touch it. She had no possession of it. Um, the other thing is the facilities do have a liability to protect fans who come to the game. And that liability would be to make sure that they're safe in the environment um, to watch the game itself. And if fans are acting inappropriately, whether it's, putting their hands on them, trying to get the ball, or, whatever it is, they have a duty to remove those people and make our environment safe.
Well, I can imagine this will be a lesson for everyone rolling into, the next phase of the season and then openers of following seasons going into the
Yeah.
NFL. So, really appreciate your perspective and entertaining another Philly debacle here with us. Hopefully, we don't see another one soon, although it might be you and I going for a ball if the Yankees and Phillies end up in the playoffs again. So, I'll, I'll keep an eye out for you, John.
All right.
Well, thank you so much for joining the SERMAPod with us for this episode and for diffusing the Phillies Karen situation with us.
All right. Thank you for having me.